we got some talking to do about this mineral deal. Got some things to discuss. So y'all remember that Trump was bragging about this mineral deal? Supposedly he and Zelensky had reached an agreement, and now it's apparently off. So Trump accuses Zelensky of trying to back out the Ukraine minerals deal. If he does, I gotta do it in the Trump way. If he does that, he's got problems. Okay. He's trying to back out of the rare earths deal. Trump told reporters on Air Force One. If he does that, he's got some problems. Big problems. Donald Trump said Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky faces big problems if he backs out the mineral deal with the U.S. The United States president's remarks come hours after he criticized Russian President Vladimir Putin for comments he made about the leader of Ukraine. He's trying to back out of the rare earth deal. Trump told reporters on Air Force One. On Air Force One of Mr. Zelensky, referring to an agreement that would provide the U.S. with access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals. Now, before I continue, I need y'all to know something. There's actually already been a rare earth deal passed. It was in 2021. I want to say it was 2021. It was already rare. There was already one in motion. And the U.S. was already taking advantage of the rare earth deal. So this, I guess, would have been a renewal, or maybe we get more of their earth mineral. I don't know. But I don't know why it would be so difficult, basically, is my point, to do another earth deal in 2025 if you already had one in 2021. Anyway. He said we made a deal on rare earth, and now he's saying, well, I want to renegotiate the deal. Speaking en route from Florida to Washington, Trump said he wants to be a member of NATO. Of course, he was never going to be a member of NATO. He understands that. I think that the world understands that. Everybody in the world knows Ukraine is not going to be part of NATO, except for Zelensky. Even Ukraine, like the people, no, they're not going to be part of NATO. It's not going to happen. Because as much as these motherfuckers be talking about they want World War III for real, that nobody wants to smoke with Russia like that. Especially with Iran on edge. Iran's waiting for an excuse. They're waiting for a reason. Russia waiting for it. All their allies waiting for a reason. And if Ukraine signs that deal, joins NATO, that's it. All bets are off. So nobody wants it. Not for real. Not before they're prepared for it, at least. And not before they know who is on whose side. Because right now, Europe is they're like, I don't know, man. We're going to have to see how things play out. Although he insisted to reporters that we're making a lot of progress, he acknowledged that there's a tremendous hatred between Zelensky and Putin, a fresh indication that negotiations may not produce the swift conclusion that he promised during his campaign. Oh, you think? He still hasn't gotten them in the same room. I don't know. Once again, I don't know how you keep trying to negotiate on behalf of two countries that are going to war with each other, and you can't even get them in the same room, and you expect somehow for them to broker a peace deal. I don't understand how that works. I'm just a lowly old podcaster, I guess, but I've never seen that happen in history, where two people who are at war with each other broker a peace deal with one another, and they're never in the same room, not even on the same phone call or whatever. In an earlier interview with NBC News, he referenced comments Putin made on Friday about temporarily putting Ukraine under external governance. Trump said he was angry and pissed off when the Russian leader started getting into Zelensky's credibility. See, how are we going to take you seriously, Trump? Because you're one of the ones who made it clear that Zelensky is kind of on some dictator shit. You've leaned into that. We know that he hasn't held elections. He's talked about the importance of Zelensky considering holding elections, and that people are rightfully upset that he hasn't held elections and that he has no plans on holding elections. Right? Like, why are you playing this game? You're not helping anybody. You're not fooling anybody. Putin reaffirmed his claim that Mr. Zelensky, whose presidential term expired last year, lacks the legitimacy to sign the peace deal. And I thought it was just because of his term expiring. But Putin, always dropping a little nugget every now and then, taught me something new. Under Ukraine's constitution, it is illegal for the country to hold national elections while it's under martial law. But if the deal, basically what he is saying is that he can't sign something if he's not a legitimate president, because he just doesn't recognize it. He doesn't recognize the president. He's like, bro, even so, I feel like it's kind of problematic for Zelensky, because he's telling you, you're not legitimately the president to me. Because as I've explained before, for those of you who don't know, this martial law thing is new. It is not something that's always been a part of Ukraine's constitution. It was actually done in 2015 after the Maidan coup. It was done at the behest of the United States, because whoever the United States put in power, they wanted to be able to call martial law and make sure that they stay in power whenever it behooved the United States. You get what I'm saying? So the ratification of this law, in Putin's mind, in my opinion, legitimately so, the ratification of this law is illegitimate, because it was brought about by a coup by the United States and on behalf of the United States. Sparky, thank you very much for the super chat. Fun fact, Pete Hegseth was introduced to the media around 2010 by Lindsey Graham. Prior to that, Pete was Lindsey's joy boy. Whoa, did not know that. Did you say he was in the Navy? I don't know. Oh, man. So here's where it gets crazy. If a deal isn't done, or excuse me, if a deal isn't made, and if I think it was Russia's fault, I'm going to put secondary sanctions on Russia, Trump said, adding that there would be 25 to a 50-point tariff on all oil. Anybody buying oil from Russia will not be able to sell their product, any product, not just oil, into the United States. Guys, I ain't gonna lie. How you gonna threaten? Like, y'all already put how many sanctions on Russia? Like, what? You think that what? Hey man, when the last time I just like, damn man, that I really enjoyed that Russian product I bought recently that I didn't have to pay a bunch of money for because we don't have tariffs on it in the United States. As we say in Brazil, Jaeta, there is nothing more to tax. You can't hurt Russia anymore with sanctions, because y'all already sanctioned them you tried to sanction them into oblivion. That is a empty threat. It's like when you threaten South Africa with money. We're going to take South Africa's money away. Okay, but we don't get any money from y'all. Shut the fuck up. That's not the point. Bro, what? What is Trump? Trump really be getting on camera before he talks to anybody and just be saying shit sometimes. It's like he forgot. We already sanctioned Russia. We already threatened and sanctioned countries and punished countries that try to do business with Russia. It's already a thing. And you're going to, so there are countries, however, that do buy like natural gas from Russia, do buy oil from Russia, as you all know. In Europe, Western Europe, they're paying a tax on that because they pissed off Russia. But if those countries have to pay even more because you think they're going to listen to Trump? How's that going to work out if you threaten the Western European countries because of this deal that you swore that you could get done, and now Putin is like, yeah, but nah. And now you want to try to threaten them. So you got tariffs on China, tariffs on Canada, tariffs on Mexico. You're going to try to put more tariffs on Russia. Ukraine is just sucking us dry, and not in a good way. Israel is sucking us dry, also not in a fun way. Saudi Arabia is kind of just sitting back watching us. Iran's waiting to bust a move. What exactly what is going through Trump's mind? Does he not realize Putin has all the cards in the situation? I don't get why you think. I don't understand why Trump thinks that he has control over the outcome of this deal. And I feel to me, and y'all can let me know if I'm wrong, to me, it feels like Putin is suggesting, I really don't give a shit anymore if he signs this deal. I don't consider him to be the president. Putin actually suggested the other day that the UN put a temporary leader to help negotiate, like one, to be president while they're transitioning into a new government and to get this deal done, because he is dead ass serious that he does not consider Zelensky to be a legitimate leader. And he doesn't, rightfully so, doesn't believe Zelensky would follow the deal. So there's that. But then there's the minerals deal, people. The minerals deal with Ukraine that Trump is obsessing over. It is not a coincidence that he is, once again, I don't know how this is supposed to stop war between Russia and Ukraine. I don't know how he believes stopping a minerals deal or doing a minerals deal with Ukraine is supposed to somehow stop Russia from busting their ass. I'm trying to understand that. Maybe because he thinks that he can leverage that somehow with Russia, like, hey, we can split some of the profits. But like, you getting money off of Ukraine ain't gonna stop Russia from busting their ass. That's already been a thing. Y'all have been getting money off Ukraine and Russia's still busting their ass. So I don't know why that's being put out into the forefront as if that was going to be the deal breaker. But I know why Trump and the United States are obsessed over this rare earth deal. So Ukraine has a lot of rare minerals, but one of the things that they actually have, not the most of, but one of the most of, is lithium. They have some of the largest lithium deposits in the world. I did not know that until recently. And they don't have an official rank because they have so much of it that's been untapped. But they do know that for certain, they have more than almost all of the countries in Europe. Ukraine does. So I want you to think about everything that, I know we joked. I just saw somebody make a BYD comment. Off topic, did you buy the BYD yet? Not yet. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Don't worry. But speaking of BYD, think about like this. China right now is busting the world's ass in lithium. Like they got the most. And they keep racking up, and they're making deals and bilateral negotiations with other countries that also have lithium. The United States has a bunch of lithium, but we already know how an economic industrial revolution race goes. It's not about how much resources necessarily that you have in your personal country. It's about your ability to control the ability for a competition to sell their resources. So China is busting our ass in lithium. Their cars are better. Their EVs are better, right? They have more competition within the country for EVs. Eventually, they will spread. They've already started in Latin America. They're already getting in Southeast Asia, East Asia. Probably going to spread even further than that, because that's what happens. In the United States, because of, like, they screwed themselves. People need to remember, like, the United States screwed themselves by trying to stack the deck in favor of Tesla, because Tesla took forever to get to the point that they even had a working vehicle. Meanwhile, China actually stimulated EV competition. They didn't just give a bunch of money to one company till every other company's, sorry, you're screwed. Wait till Tesla figures it out, and then we might let them run up the price on their car because there's no other EV available, and then we might let y'all compete. Meanwhile, China has multiple companies, multiple countries, and they're allowed to compete. And they're ahead already. They're already ahead, and the price point much better. And now, because they're crushing the lithium game, they can pull ahead. When BYD beat Tesla in sales, that wasn't some small thing, y'all. That was like they let Tesla Tesla, the second largest Tesla factory is in China. So it ain't like It's just because BYD is in China. No, BYD is in China, not in the US, was able to beat them. Tesla is in the US, in China, in the UK, and in the EU, while BYD and other Chinese car companies are not allowed, and BYD still beat them. And that was the horse that the US was betting on. So now you got to play catch up, right? But to play catch up, you're going to have to probably invest in infrastructure in all of your other car companies that are now behind to some degree, right? They're all playing catch up because you did that in order to give Tesla the advantage, to make Elon a billionaire, make him controllable. We already know how that story goes. You need lithium. You cannot do it without lithium. So this minerals deal is not really about Russia and Ukraine. It's really about China. It's really about competing with China. That's what it comes down to. It's about who gets control, and in a way that you don't have to go to war for it, over the untapped rare earth minerals that the United States needs to compete with China, who is already busting their ass. Why do you think Trump was so confident about putting more tariffs on China recently? He was under the belief that this fucking rare earth minerals deal was going to go through with Ukraine. That's why. Why do you think he was so okay with putting the tariffs on Canada? Because he was so confident that this rare earth minerals deal with Ukraine was going to go through. That's what he believed that. And for all intents and purposes, he probably was thinking like, yeah, Ukraine doesn't even have a choice. So he was like, yeah, I can put these tariffs, but we're going to recover. And I'm going to still look like a strong man. I'm going to look like the boss. Except for Zelensky probably realizing that he has some leverage, at least with Trump. None with Putin, to be completely honest. But he does have some leverage with Trump. He's like, oh, you were counting on our lithium to better your economy? To compete with China? Oh, well, then I want NATO. Here we go, this shit again. But the reality is, if the United States does not secure those lithium deposits, that might be it, guys. This is in a greater context of West Africa taking their countries back, taking their resources back. Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger. I mean, they're all starting to work, and now they're cooperating amongst each other. This is like, you got to think about it in a greater context. Like, y'all, people not realizing, like, Trump is trying to make a bet on Ukraine. And those countries that I mentioned in Africa, Russia's helping. So if I'm going to do business, right? Who am I going to do business with? The country that's actually helping me? Bilateral relationships. Not fake bilateral, like actual bilateral cooperation. Economically and militarily. But the country, like the actual country, like Burkina Faso, they're the ones who primarily benefit from their relationship with Russia. I really believe that this situation with Ukraine, the reason that Trump is so pissed, because he was betting on getting that lithium and competing. I don't believe it's a coincidence that they're taking this Tesla situation so seriously. Like, yeah, if I'm a businessman, no, I don't want people burning down my motherfucking Teslas or whatever. Cool. But think about it. Whenever Trump had his there was like people protesting Trump Tower. Trump actually just didn't really give a fuck. He didn't really care that much. He's like, bro, like, okay. He didn't care. Because it didn't really affect him that much. Not as much people thought it would. He probably knew it wouldn't affect him. But the Tesla thing is different because the United States invested billions The initial 30-something billion, then there was the billions in credits after, and then there was the tariffs we put on all the competition after. Then it was the fact that we didn't really allow other companies, like we didn't allow the Fords and the GMs and GEs, like we didn't let them compete to the degree that they should have been allowed and would have been allowed to compete under any other normal circumstances, because they were trying to give Tesla the advantage, give Elon Musk specifically the advantage, because he's one of the PayPal mafia guys. The same way they paid Jeff Bezos to beat eBay so that he could carry out their bidding, the same way they did with Zuckerberg, right? The same way they do with Thiel. That's what they did with Elon, except for it's not working out. The rest of the world's passing. That's why the Tesla situation is a big deal, because the one way they have to compete with Elon Musk, with China, with these other EV companies, outside of tariffs and taxes, is through sales. And with the think about the BYD shit is crazy, because this is before he became the leader of Doge. The BYD car company beat Tesla before Elon was part of the Trump administration, before the boycotts. Think about that. Before the boycotts. This is when everybody was like just casually buying it. I like a Tesla, I'll buy it. If I don't like it, I won't buy it. They made decisions and they chose BYD. Now people are actively choosing to boycott Tesla. They don't like Elon, so they're burning Teslas, and now there are a bunch of videos coming out where people are like walking out of the manufacturing of the manufacturers, or the warehouses and shit like that, where they build them, because like it's like slave labor basically. So there's those videos coming out, and then it's just the mere fact that people are learning, oh shit, I can buy this EV for $10,000. What the hell is Elon charging me for then? It's the exclusivity that he didn't even earn. It was given to him. He's charging you for exclusivity. Because when China was making EVs, because it was just a smart business move, it was better for them economically. Elon was making EVs, and the United States was allowing Elon to make EVs and Tesla to make EVs to be a status symbol, basically. So now they're reaping what they sow. Has anyone informed President Trump that there are 10 times more Ukrainian fatalities than Russian fatalities? Seems Trump still thinks there are more Russians killed than Ukrainians, and it's a stalemate. I don't know what Trump actually thinks, because it depends on what interview you watch. Sometimes it makes it seem like he knows that there are more Ukrainians that were killed, and other times, depending on who he's in front of and what point he's trying to make, it sounds like he thinks that there are more Russians that are killed. I don't know what he actually believes, so I'm just going to leave it.